How many of you like to play games? All right, lots of us like to play games. In fact, we've got a game night planned in the next few months here on a Friday night at church. Well, I'm here to share with you that we have all been playing a game all week long, and we haven't even been aware we've been playing. Furthermore, we are driven to play the game, whether we like to or not. We unwittingly play the game every day because everybody else around us is playing it, and we've bought into it. The rules are unspoken, but the rules are very real, and they are adhered to. And when the rules are followed, somebody is determined a winner, and many are determined to be losers. No one can ever really win this game because the scoring system is based on a completely false sense of values, and yet we let it permeate every part of our lives, kind of like yeast in a loaf of bread. Here's how the game is played. For everything you do, and I mean everything you do, scoring is done. Points or penalties are given. You get points for being strong. You get penalties for being weak. And in the end, you start to be valued as either a winner or a loser. Everything gets scored. So let's see how the world is playing this game all around us. For each aspect of life, I want you to try to tell me which gets you a weak score and which gets you a strong score. And let's pick out different things. Let's go with facial appearance. Facial appearances. What's a strong score? We buy stuff at Walmart all the time to enhance our beauty. And if we don't look so attractive, well, then that's weaker. Let's try another one. How about your occupation? Some occupations are viewed as strong, aren't they? Other occupations might be viewed as a weaker or lesser occupation. How about our body shapes? What's a strong body shape?
Thin.
Thin. And what's a weaker body shape? Yeah, more like how I'm starting to get the older I get. All right? It happens. But the world scores everything about us, and it can be so frustrating. For instance, how about the houses we live in? What gets you a stronger score? Big. What gets us a weaker score? Smaller. All right? Oftentimes people say, oh, they live in such a huge house. You never see anybody saying, man, I live in a really tiny house. You know? It's because we know people don't attribute that with positive values, but more negative values. How about, for instance, the clothes we wear? What gets you a stronger score? Name brands. Yeah. So what gets us a weaker score?
Walmart.
Yeah. What if we can buy at Walmart? Yeah. Like my pants. I found those at Walmart. All right. How about this one? Your lifelong partner. What gets you a strong score versus a weaker score? I'm sorry?
Marriage.
Yeah. Marriage might get you a stronger score. What else? How good they look. How they behave, right? How much money they make, what they've accomplished, you know? Does anybody know a loser? The woman that married me. All right? But what I'm trying to get out there to you is everything in our lives gets scored with either a negative value or a positive value. And then no matter who you score against or measure against, you can almost always find someone that's got a weaker score and almost always somebody that finds a stronger score. Now, here's the deal though. The problem is not with the stuff. Is there anything wrong with having a husband like Dave Peck? Okay, well, we're not going to answer that one. Is there anything wrong with living in a big house? No. Is there anything wrong with having a job that earns a lot of money? No, it's not the stuff, people. It's the scoring and the valuing. That's where it gets wrong. And that's where the scales are false, but people buy into it. People buy into it. For instance, as you look at your life on all the different things, how do you think you score? Do you think you're strong or weak? In this world we live in, do you think you're judged a winner or a loser? You know, it's all relative. But my point to you is this. The game goes on all around us. It is America's biggest and favorite game. Nothing is off limits in the scoring. Everybody and everything gets a score. We keep score on ourselves. We keep score on each other. We separate the strong from the weak. And then we try to better our own score so we can feel better about ourselves. If you don't believe it, let me ask you this. Did anybody watch the big game on Sunday, last Sunday, the Super Bowl? Okay, that's the big game in America. But there was a bigger game going on. If you watched who got rewarded with attention, not just national attention, but worldwide attention, it was the team with the losingest record or the winningest record. Well, of course it was the winningest record. And the athletes who were featured there, they were the strongest, fastest athletes. They were. If you stop and think about the halftime show, we featured some of the most talented people in America. And as I watch the halftime show, I think we need to keep digging for more talent. But anyway, but these talented entertainers were surrounded by young, slender, beautiful, well-dressed worshipers jumping up and down. And then from time to time, the TV cameras would leave the field of play, they would leave the halftime show, and they would pan the stands. Where did the TV cameras take us when they looked into the stands? Into the luxury boxes. Do you remember that? And they'd say, oh, there's so-and-so. They were always some of the richest, most famous, most powerful people in the United States. That's who got rewarded with the attention and who gets lifted up. Now, let me ask you this. In all that Super Bowl coverage, where were the poor, old, fat, ugly people like us? You didn't see them, did you? They weren't invited to the party. They're invisible. They are worth less. Now, do you think there were folks that are a lot more average out in those stands? Sure there were. They're not going to show them. They are not going to show them because we're not valued and we're viewed to have less value. Now, as you think back and you start to talk about this game, have you felt the pressure to play the game in your life from time to time? When you're aware of it, the pressure? Maybe to compete with other people, to be valued as others or by others? Our trigger to play is this instinct that we've experienced since we were little children. Since we were little children and we started competing against each other, we've always wanted to be the biggest, didn't we? Right from the time we tried to figure out who's taller, our brother or our sister or us. We've always wanted to be the biggest. We've always wanted to be better. We've always wanted to be the fastest. We've always wanted to be the strongest. And what happens is in that childhood instinct that we have, it carries over into adult lives till pretty soon we're competing with everything and we're scoring. And if we score strong in some areas, we tend to feel better about ourselves. And we tend to feel more valuable. And when we score weaker in some areas, we tend to feel bad about ourselves. Has anybody ever felt bad about yourself when you think about something that's going on, how you compare? I have. I have. This past week, we got an ad in the mail, and it was advertising brand new Chevy trucks. And I looked at the ad, and I got excited about it. Beautiful Chevy trucks, 2014. And I said to Terry, let's get a new truck. Now, you guys already know the kind of truck I got. I've already got a truck. It runs good. It's fairly sound. Got good tires. There's nothing wrong with my truck. So my wife asked me the obvious question. Why do you want a new truck? You don't need one, so why do you want one? And you ever just blurt something out and afterwards you realize, oh my gosh, that was really dead on. I was just being smart with my wife, but I said, well, I want a new truck so I can feel better about myself and look down my nose at everybody that drives a 2013 or older as I go down the road. Do you see how easy it is to buy into the game, people? Does a new truck make me more valuable than anybody else? Heck no. Does an older truck give me more value, or less value, I should say, than anybody else? No. But that's how the world scores, and when everybody starts to play the game, it sinks into our psyche, and we get sucked in. So the first segment of this 4-part series that we're going to be working on is getting you to recognize the game that's going on all around us. And then I'd like to try to get you to drop out of the game, stop playing, and just start living a life that's real, not false. Are you ready to go to work? In our scripture lesson, the Lord Jesus was speaking to a crowd of people. And he saw all kinds of people in the crowd, and they were all playing the game to some degree. A very large crowd. But there were people in the crowd who were professionals. They were the winners. They were on top of the heap. They were known in those days as the Pharisees. So Jesus started warning the crowds about not being like them. At first, he's just talking to the crowd. And he warns the people. He says, everything they do is for men to see. Jesus said they love the places of honor and sitting in the most important seats. They love to be greeted by important titles, rabbi, teacher. And then Jesus got down to the nitty-gritty. And he started talking to those Pharisees right face to face, calling them out in the crowd. And Jesus said, you give 10% of your income to God, right down to 10% of your spices, but you neglect justice and mercy and faithfulness. Jesus said, you clean the outside of your cup and dish, but inside you're full of greed and self-indulgence. He said, first clean the inside of the cup, then the outside will be clean. You ever notice that? When you do dishes at your house, would you ever wash the outside and leave the coffee in the inside of your cup? No. But somehow or other, when we clean the inside, the outside just gets clean while we're doing it. It works. Trust me. My wife's been trying to convince me for years. Point B. Jesus also said, you are like whitewashed tombs, beautiful on the outside, but inside you are full of dead men's bones. And he said, on the outside you appear to people as righteous, but on the inside you are full of hypocrisy and wickedness. Jesus saw the people in the crowd playing the game. It's a game that's been played since biblical times. We see it played around us every day, and we buy into it ourselves. Jesus saw people playing the game, buying into those false sets of values, and he called them on it. He called them on it. Elsewhere in Luke 12:1, Jesus said, be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. And by definition, hypocrisy is just trying to pretend to be something you're really not, isn't it? That's all it is. That's all it is. That yeast can permeate our entire life. And playing the game really does affect all of us. And it affects everything we do. What we need to know this morning is God does not play that game. He does not play that game. In the Old Testament book of 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7, the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his appearance or at the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For God sees not as man sees. For man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. You see, we can try to look as strong as we want, as successful as we want, as much like a winner in this world as we want. God doesn't look at that. He looks at who we are on the inside. So why would so many people play a game we can't win that's based on a false set of values, and yet it affects every part of their lives and it gets taken so seriously? I'll answer your question with another question. The answer lies in an emotion, a feeling. So let me ask you, whenever you hide something, and we all hide things. Anybody got some little treasures hidden at your house? Has anybody got some money hidden at your house somewhere, tucked away? Right? What feeling drives us to hide those things? What feeling? Insecurity. And another word might be that we're what? Yeah, and we're afraid somebody might take it, you know? That's what drives us to hide anything. Fear drives us to hide money and treasures. Fear drives us to hide our feelings. Fear drives us to hide the truth sometimes because it's uncomfortable. But it's fear. Fear is what keeps us playing the game, and it's the underlying driver, if you will. You see, everybody